everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Ashley Dawn, and today I am thrilled that you are here because this message is going to be a really powerful one. It is about being a badass, light body, sovereign being and sovereignty. We're going to define that a little bit. I'm going to dive into it. I'm going to explain it and give you guys some insight straight from my team of light. They kind of help explain a little bit of what that really means, and it's a beautiful message. So if this is something that you already know you like, please click that little button and subscribe. All right, let's get started. So first, I thought it would make just a lot of sense if I just gave you the definition of sovereignty. So basically, you will hear this term a lot, but you are a sovereign being. And so this is going to help define that. Sovereignty, in simplest terms, would be to be supreme or paramount, or overseeing, or limitless, we'll say, okay? So sovereignty is an unlimited power of self. It is not subject to any other authority. Sovereignty is absolute and unlimited. It is freedom to simply be. The sovereign is entitled to do whatever he or she may like. It is the supreme power in an individual. Unity is the very spirit of sovereignty, meaning to be one with yourself, be one with your higher self, your guides, your angels. So that sense of unity, right? So my guides put this one last little sentence in there, and they said, unity is the very spirit of sovereignty, and to divide it would destroy it. So basically, sovereignty is this limitless, badass light body being that you are. And so as I was meditating, they really wanted me to, it just popped into my head. And so I was asking them more questions about it, and they really wanted me to help explain this. Okay, so that was kind of like the definition. And so now I'm going to do some channeled information for you and some things that I have written down, and then we'll see if they have anything else they would like to add on the topic. All right, so I think it's important for us to understand that we have been programmed, we have been taught to fit in a box, to conform, and this sense of control. Okay, so we have been taught how to have limitations and restrictions. Okay, but when we are a sovereign being and we understand that in its full capacity, we understand that we are limitless and we don't have any restrictions. And if we are seeing or recognizing patterns or restrictions, we understand that there's something that needs to shift, change, or heal. We need to raise that vibration, let some of that go. It's not necessarily a limitation, it's a lesson, right? But when we don't have that sovereign being, understanding and that perspective, we feel like we're just really trapped inside of this, like, kind of just box, this very lost and wandering, disconnected feeling that we all have, or at least we have had in the past, right? So when you are a sovereign being, this is when you recognize that you are light, that you are source. You become more aligned with your higher self and your guides, and you feel you know what your purpose is, right? And you recognize beauty in all things, because you recognize the beauty in self, and everything is made up of source, and you are source. So you're basically recognizing the beauty in yourself, right? So this is what it means to be a sovereign being. Okay, so now that we understand the actual definition of sovereignty, I'm going to go into what my guides wanted me to share with you guys. So they kind of explained it like when we are in our very in-the-box 3D perspective, that human experience, right? We often feel like it's me, myself, and I, because we don't remember who we are. So we feel very detached from our divinity. And words I might describe when we're in this phase, okay, might be loneliness, when you feel like you are lacking, when you feel like you are deficient or separated from, right? Where you feel like you just don't fit in with anybody anywhere or even in your own skin, right? We've all kind of been there and felt that. And this is because we have detached, or we haven't reconnected to our divinity. At this point, we are not necessarily a sovereign being. We don't have unity within ourselves, right? So my guides were explaining that we have that very limited in the box 3D perspective. And it's a really difficult place to be in. But as we have these experiences through life and we have this human experience, we start to shift and start to understand more and more that the simple idea of being lonely or separated or deficient or have lack is an illusion in itself. And I'll explain that, because we are these badass light body beings. We are these sovereign beings, and we are connected to source, to the universe, to our guides, our angels. We are connected to the entire collective, right? So to be alone, to feel loneliness, is a complete illusion, okay? So when we start to shift and become more of a sovereign being, we stop looking outside of ourselves for the love, for the attention, for the validation, right? We stop looking outside of ourselves because we don't really need that. We have it within. Right? So then we start looking within for the answers that we seek. We start looking within for the confirmations, the validations, our messages from our guides, right? Now, obviously I'm a light worker and I work with people in healing all the time. So people do actually come to me for some of that. But this is where I point out, I do 10%, they do 90, right? My clients do 90. And what I mean is a light worker or a healer or a medium or anybody, we plant the seeds. We plant the seeds, but the person has to water and nurture to grow that sovereignty, right? To grow and understand the concept that they too are a badass light body being. They can heal themselves. They can love themselves, and they don't have to look outside of themselves anymore. So when you are a sovereign being, you might actually notice that you don't have a lot of friends anymore. And for those of you that are going along your awakening process and you realize you have less and less friends, it's not necessarily because they're not on the same page. I mean, it could be that too. And you've shifted and you raised your vibration, but you are so content with self. You love yourself and you don't see the outside world as separate than you, because you know that everything is a part of you and you are a part of everything, right? So you do feel whole. You feel very whole. So when we fall in love with ourselves, when we stand in our truth, when we recognize the light within, when we connect to our higher selves and get messages from our guides, right? When we recognize when somebody else is kind of lashing out or triggered or attacking us, we recognize that what's happening is we are this beacon of light. We've done our work. We have a very high vibration. And so us light workers, sometimes we are this beacon of light. So we attract people that are searching and looking for some assistance, right? And if we do our job well, we plant that seed and we give that 10%, right? And unfortunately, sometimes we will have people in our lives, right? Or clients or whomever, mostly people in our lives, that aren't ready to be sovereign. They aren't ready to heal. They're not ready to do the work. And so when they look at themselves in that mirror, our light is so bright, it kind of reflects back. They see the lack and the lonely. They see that you're two very different people. You're two, one sovereign being and one very limited being, right? And so sometimes they can get a little frustrated, or they will just, separate a little bit and they will distance themselves from you and your energy because you are just at a total different vibration, right? So my guides really wanted me to explain and express this to you guys, because I feel like a lot of you are coming along this awakening process and you are becoming these amazing sovereign beings. And yet you're starting to question, like, well, why am I kind of not having friends? Or why is this kind of going this way or that way? Don't doubt and question. You have all the answers within. You are connected and you are an amazing light body being, right? And you should be coming to this point where you're feeling super content and whole with yourself and on your own. Now, that does not to say that humans don't need humans. We need the support of each other. We are, one. We need each other. We need the love and affection and attention. To some degree, in a sense, we want that. I guess the difference is when you're a sovereign being, you don't need it. You don't go searching and looking, you have that. But of course, we want partners, we want relationships, right? So I understand that too. So hopefully I didn't just confuse you guys. But I guess the difference is when you're in sovereign being, it's just, it's a desire. It's not like you're like, I need this, I need attention, I need love, feed me, you're not like that. So being sovereign in reality is remembering who you are. And you are on a journey of expanding your consciousness, which ultimately allows you to have an unbelievable amount of freedom. And you start having so much love and peace within that you become that mirror, right? Your external world becomes that mirror to you, and you start to see the sovereignty and peace and beauty and everything in your outside world, because your outside world is matching your inside world, right? So I've always told my clients, if you have clutter and chaos in your bedroom, in your car, in your world, in your life, I can already tell you that you have chaos and clutter here. But if your outside world starts to match your inside world, right, and your inside world matches your outside, you can tell that you're having this shift and you're becoming more of a sovereign being, which is beautiful. So let me jump in and see if they have anything else they wanted to add, but they really just wanted me to define what sovereignty is and to, I guess, reassure for you guys and maybe plant that seed for you to say, no, you are on the right track. You guys are doing awesome, right? So let me give you a little bit of that 10%, that seed, and plant that for you, because it was just something that really was strong and popped into my head. And so I wanted to sit with it and meditate with it and see what my guides had to say. So that was the message so far, but let me channel a little bit and see if there's anything else that they would like to add. Okay. So what my guides are telling me is to be sovereign is to remember your truth, to remember that you are a light body being on this human experience. And the more you align with yourself, the easier this human experience becomes. And everything, good or bad, everything is a beautiful lesson. And you signed up to be a part of this experience, right? Again, good or bad. And they're also saying that when you're a sovereign being, you get to decide, you get to choose and decide how much are you gonna plant the seed 10%, or is it a lesson that you need to have? So you invest more time and energy and effort, right? You get to decide, how much energy you want to exchange with someone else or situation. They're like, that's freedom. If you're like, hey, you know what? Subconsciously maybe, your higher self is like, hey, this is another situation that is valuable because it's going to be a little tough, but you'll learn a lot from it. You will be invested in it somehow. And you may start to question like, God, how did I get here? Well, there must be a lesson in it for you, right? So, and they're funny. They're telling me that, and I've heard this before, but they're telling me that sometimes the universe will shake you to awake you. And they're saying just because you're a sovereign being doesn't mean that everything is perfect. You're still human. You're still learning, right? You're still human. So they're saying like, have the compassion when the universe does shake you, have the compassion to know that it's only with love. It's only with love. Sometimes a little tough love, but it's with love because you still have free will choices, and the more sovereign you are, the more choices you have, which is really, really powerful too. Okay, let me see if they have any more. So they're saying you have always had this freedom. But you have been programmed and taught, like I was saying before, you've been programmed and taught to believe otherwise, right? But what's happening is there's so much grid work going on. There's so much healing. There's so much, look at 2020, right? There's so much purging going on that we are remembering who we are as a collective. And what they're telling me is that there is ancient wisdom and knowledge that had kind of been almost like bred out of us to program us to have this slave-like mentality of being limited and having to do certain things. that kind of went up against our truth. And the more we did that, the more we detached from our truth and divinity. So they're saying like a lot of those old patterns, almost like a genetically predisposed nurture versus nature, but they're saying like, you've almost been predisposed to being in that mentality of being limited, and they're saying a lot of that is fading out. And so now more than ever, the collective is recognizing that they are these sovereign beings, and they're like so excited for everybody to start shifting their mentality to being a sovereign being, to remembering your truth, right? And they're saying that to honor yourself and others every step of the way, because you don't just wake up one day and become a sovereign being. You have to go through these, learning lessons and the ups and the downs and the cycles and all of that. And they're saying that, to have compassion for self and others, as everybody is connected. And when you see somebody struggling and you recognize that they're struggling, it's because you have struggled once before too. So you're seeing yourself in them. And so they're basically just saying, send everything and everyone love and light, and that will help you along your journey to connect with yourself and become more of a sovereign being. I mean, you already are, but recognizing that you are, right? Okay. Cool. Well, this was just a kind of a quick little video, but I just really felt compelled to define and talk about sovereignty today. And it was just a really beautiful message. So I couldn't wait to share it with you guys. So anyway, if you guys have any questions or comments, I'd love to hear if you guys also have had little channeled messages or meditations where your guides have brought up sovereignty. I'd love to hear that in your guys' perspective too. But anyway, I hope that it resonated with you and your heart chakra, and that you just got a little seed planted today, and that it just really helped you. I helped nurture and grow that little seed for you. And as always, love and light, my friends.